Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Photographer Profile. My name is Nathan Rupert, and I've been a San Diego photographer for over 18 years. Because social media is currently focused on video content, such as Reels, I started this channel to give the photographers I've met a worldwide platform to share their work and stories. Please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to be notified right away when new episodes are uploaded, or if you just enjoy the content. So, today, my guest is JP. Hey, JP, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Yeah, please just give us an introduction about yourself and your photography for those people watching.
Yeah, sure. So my name is JP Ramirez. On Instagram, my handle is JP Ramsey Photos. I am a photographer here in San Diego, originally from the East Coast, actually Northern Virginia, the DC area. But I didn't pick up photography until I moved out here to San Diego back in like 2018. And like a lot of people, I started taking photography more serious once COVID started. So
Oh, interesting.
2020 comes around. We're kind of like, what do we do with our lives? We need a hobby. I already had a camera. I just started learning more about it. Good old YouTube University, learning tricks, tips, and then started using my camera more, and then got invested into drone photography. That kind of leads to where we're at today. I do a lot of drone photography and video. I do a lot of camera work as well, and camera videography. I kind of travel around the states, national parks, more isolated areas that, not your average Joe would go to, and just shoot whatever I can find out there and share it with the world.
That's one part of photography I have not tried yet is drone photography. I'm excited to get a drone someday and give that a go.
Honestly, it changes the perspective of how you view photography. It's a cool feeling to see a whole different perspective. You're so
Yeah.
used to finding your compositions on the ground. You're so used to walking and, finding maybe if I stand behind this bush and use this bush to be my foreground to, give it some sort of like kick to my photo. But when you bring that drone up, it just almost feels like the whole world becomes your oyster.
And you might be able to make some money, do some real estate photography at the same time.
Absolutely. You just got to get certified. You have to go get that pilot license before you can start making money off of it.
Are you single, taken, is complicated? What's your status for those people wondering out there?
Relationship-wise?
Yeah, relationship-wise.
I'm taken. I was like, wait a minute. I live here in San Diego with my girlfriend. It's been 11 years. We started dating back in the East Coast and then traveled cross country together out here to San Diego.
Does she do photography?
He does not. Photography is kind of new into our relationship. Like I said, the last 4 years. But no, she's not the photographer. That's my avenue. She just likes to see the photos and ask me for prints to hang up from time to time.
Hey, that saves money. You don't have to go to Target or Costco to get some prints for the home.
It does. Right? Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Do
you have any hobbies outside of photography?
No, not really. Just mainly photography. That's not to say I had some before. I used to play tennis a lot, and tennis was my main thing, and but really haven't touched the racket in quite some time. I know now the new thing is pickleball. I'm really interested in trying that, especially now that my bones are starting to hurt when I wake up in the morning. So something less aggressive like pickleball would be nice to check out.
Yeah, I was at the PB Rec Center in Pacific Beach not too long ago, and they converted most of the tennis courts to pickleball courts. So it really has taken over.
It really is. I remember seeing somewhere there's like a whole war going on between tennis players and pickleball players because they're fighting for courts because the courts are completely different. And pickleball people want to play on tennis courts, and that takes up space from the tennis players. It just causes such a war.
Is there a specific point or moment that you're like that got you into photography, or it's just kind of general?
My girlfriend got me my camera for, I want to say, my birthday or Christmas one year. It was a Sony. That was my first like upgrade from a cell phone camera. I shot around with it a bit, but I really wasn't into it too much. But then COVID came through. I started going out more. I had a bunch of time on my hand. I was laid off at work. I had all this free time to just, I don't know, do something. So I
Do
just
whatever.
picked up my camera and started posting on Instagram more, then slowly started finding different communities. Like, I think one of the first photography page accounts that I started following was like SD Sunset Chasers. And I think you just had a
Interview,
podcast
right?
interview
Recently.
with Rick, right? But yeah, so like they were one of the first pages that kind of brought me into the world of photography that is on Instagram. From there, I just started seeing all these cool photos. I wanted to recreate them. I wanted to learn different styles, and then from there, I kind of took off with what I wanted.
Would you consider yourself a professional? You make your income from photography, or amateur or semi-pro? How would you consider yourself?
I would consider myself amateur still, maybe semi-pro. I mean, I do make money off of it sometimes. I
Yeah.
do portraits and family photos, engagements, all these things. I work with brands from time to time. I would say semi-pro, but I think I will consider myself an amateur for life, because we're just constantly learning the craft. I don't
Yeah.
think you can be a pro at something because there's always more to learn.
Is there something that excites you to keep shooting weekend after weekend, to keep going out there and take pictures?
The thrill of just being out in nature for me. It's always nice to have friends with you to go out and shoot. I always just look forward to hanging out with some of my fellow photographer friends and go out and shoot and just have a good time, forget the real world and dive into the world of photography and finding new compositions, finding new places, seeing new things. I mean, I've seen things because of photography that I never thought I would see, which is.
Yeah. Is there a piece of photography advice you received from a mentor or through the meetup group that really resonated with you? That's the best piece of advice that you've been given?
I think the one thing that I've learned from a lot of people over the years is just taking your time, especially for people that like to shoot sunrises and sunsets. They always catch themselves in a rush to get the photo because you're running out of time, but you fall into this habit of rushing through it, getting the shots that you think are right, and then getting home and realizing your settings were off. It's such a horrible feeling to have. I guess the other set of advice that I get is just be who you are and stick to your craft. Do not compare yourself to others. It can be difficult to sit there and see someone else that you shoot with or that you started with become bigger, get more followers, get more likes, but just never compare yourself to others because that's how you start to lose the love for the craft that is photography.
And what do you think about AI and photography, the big buzzword? Do you have any opinions on that?
AI, it's definitely a challenging topic, controversial to say. I don't have a problem with AI photography or AI in general, as long as you come out and say, yes, this is AI. If you create an image that's 100% AI and you try to pass it off as a photo, you're just not being honest. That's not truthful. I
Right.
don't like that. I know Instagram now considers like the lightest touch of on your photo, whether you're removing someone from a photo that you don't want, or a bird, or a smudge, or something, they automatically classify that as AI. I don't see that as AI. I just see that, hey, you're trying to make your photo look better. You remove something that was distracting. That's fine.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, that's normal photo processing,
Yeah,
cleaning
exactly.
up stuff in the background.
Right. I think the thing that people have the most trouble with AI or those tools is we're evolving. I think there's a lot of old school photographers that are stuck in their own world of how they are used to doing things, and they don't want to adapt or evolve to this new process of doing things. And to me, it's like we're working smarter, not harder. If there's a tool there that can help us do what we need to get in 5 seconds, where it takes you 30 minutes to do, why not just use the tool? Just use it.
Time is money. Time is money.
Exactly.
What do you want to happen to your photos when you're no longer here? Have you ever thought about that? All these photos that you've taken.
You know what's funny? I watched your interview with Rick, and he had probably the same reaction I have. I've never thought about that. And it's definitely an interesting question. I would like my photos to just carry on. I mean, obviously, we like to think that Instagram is going to last forever, but at some point,
Right.
these web servers are going to go down. At some point, it happened to MySpace. We lost all our photos that we had on MySpace for the longest time. I have them backed up, but I would definitely like them to be published in magazines or hung up in buildings or even in my own home, where generations down the road, people would hopefully still be hanging photos on their wall, and they would want to carry on the portraits that I have made to their next home, to their next business, or wherever they're going. I don't want it to just completely die out and my photos be forgotten. Hopefully just keep getting passed down through the generations.
Our walls in the future just might be giant TV screens, or it might not even have walls
We
in
have
the future.
no idea what the future is scary. It's definitely scary.
If you could take the portrait of any celebrity, alive or dead, is it anyone that you'd love to do a portrait session with?
Ooh. Yes, there is, and it's very controversial, but for me it would be Kanye West. Very controversial, but just because it's so out there with what he wants. Like, I've seen photos, things that he's created for himself, and the creative process to create what he wants, I think would be such a journey. And it would be so challenging to get something that he would approve, especially him being who he is, like,
yeah,
a psycho perfectionist. It would be challenging enough, and I think I would enjoy trying to get that creation for him.
You might be there for weeks trying to
honestly,
get a shot
years.
that he'd like.
And the crazy part is I'd get the shot, and then he'll probably never use it.
Yeah.
He'll take an
That's
iPhone
funny.
photo and then be like, yeah, this is the one I want.
Did you watch the recent Olympics that just were on this past summer?
I watched bits and parts of it, but I didn't watch the full thing.
If there's any Olympic event that you could shoot, which event would you pick?
I mean, as far as for me, I think it would be tennis. I think tennis would be the sport that I would want to shoot, or even gymnastics. That could be cool. High shutter speed, Simone Biles just doing flips and stuff. That would be cool.
Just get her levitating in the air 20 feet.
Exactly. Like
above
that
everything.
photographer. I mean, that one photographer that got that surfer who was kind of just like floating in the air. Like that was such a cool photo. I don't know if you saw that one or not, but there was like a surfer that fell off his board, and it was like him levitating in the air with the surfboard right next to him. It just looks like he was floating above this wave. It looked really cool.
I don't know if he fell off. I think he might have jumped off. But yeah, off? I saw that photo.
Yeah, so cool.
All right, well, you sent me a lot of photos ahead of time. I want to make sure we have time to go through them all. So let's start taking a look at some of these.
For sure.
I'll share. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yes. Such a cool moment for this shot. This was Colorado last year, actually almost a year ago to the date. It was the first week of October. Group of friends, we went out to Colorado. We were chasing the fall colors, and overnight there was like a random snowstorm that just passed through, and it just really made the colors, the yellows, the oranges pop more around. It was such a cool photo. What you're looking at right now is, I believe, a 5-pano stitch
okay.
of that road leading up to the mountains. With the drone, I flew it up. I looked down, took a photo, panned up a little bit, took another one, and just kept panning up. Stitched it into Lightroom and cleaned it up a little bit, and gives me that. We were just so lucky to be there because this was taken in the morning, and then we went out to shoot. And maybe 3 or 4 hours later, when we came back, all that snow was gone. It was melted already.
Oh, wow.
So we really just lucked out with with the snow.
Did you drive on that really curvy road that we see
Yeah,
in the picture?
drove that. I have some footage of that. It's just kind of an iconic road. This is called, I think, the $1 Million Highway. So it's between,
Okay.
I'm going to butcher this name, but Ouray, Colorado, and Silverton. And it's just a really cool highway through the mountains, through the forests, between those two small towns.
That reminds me of like Lombard Street in San Francisco.
In San
That
Francisco,
road.
yeah. It's literally, kind of the same thing, but, probably more prettier.
All right, let's take a look at the next one. 1 second. Rustic shot.
Yeah, so this one is my bucket list shot. So everyone has bucket list shots, but this was my number one bucket list shot since I started back in like 2020. This barn with the Tetons in the background has been on my list forever. Just last month, I was able to capture it, and I made a trip out there. And honestly, I was just in awe. Like, photos can be edited, photos can be adjusted to make it the way you look, but what you're seeing there is pretty much what you get when you get there. This was shot with my Sony. I believe I had a 70 to 180 on. Obviously zoomed in a little bit to make the compression of the mountains in the background a little tighter. But yeah, I mean, it was sunrise. Almost had the place to myself. There was a couple other photographers around. But honestly, it was quite the experience to just be able to check that off my list after it's been on there for so long.
How did you find this barn? You saw it.
Yeah, I've seen it on Instagram thousands of times. I mean, it's a very popular spot. I just knew that if I was to ever go to the Tetons, that's the shot I'm going to get. And I did it.
You nailed it. Yeah, it looks amazing.
It's such an iconic shot, iconic photo, iconic spot, really. I think anyone that makes their way up to Jackson or the Grand Tetons, it's definitely a must stop to check out.
I hope you have this one framed somewhere in your living room.
I'm going to. I literally told myself. I was actually talking to one of my pals, Brian, yesterday, because we were out shooting the full moon last night, that I'm getting this framed and I'm trying to decide whether or not I want metal or acrylic. I have to make that decision, but once I do, I'm definitely going somewhere in the house.
That's awesome. All right, let's go to the next one here. This is a fiery sunset.
Use a couple apps to try to plan out when sunsets are happening. You can never be too sure with apps. They'll tell you there's going to be a great sunset tonight, and you show up and it's nothing. And then they'll say there won't be a sunset, and then it is. So this night it was predicting to have like a half decent sunset. I was like, all right, cool. Went out to La Jolla to get the pier. It just so happened that this same evening of this sunset, when it hit, was the same night that the SpaceX was taking off. I got hit with a double whammy. I got the sunset going off, and then maybe 30 minutes later, SpaceX flew right over the pier. I don't know if I actually sent that photo to you. I think it was on my first submission, but I may have removed it because I was like, it's kind of the same photo. It was really great. I love sunsets. The winter season's coming up. That's usually sunset season here for San Diego. I'm looking forward to more sunsets like this.
Do you do filters or HDRs with most of your sunsets?
No, I actually don't use any filters or HDR. I just underexpose. I underexpose like crazy, and then just pray that when I go to edit, I can bring it all back. And 99% of the time, it works.
Nice, yeah. This one that came out of the clouds are really spectacular in this one. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one here. Let's bring us back old school.
Yeah, this is a Colorado again last year. This is actually in the town of Silverton. They have this train that you can pay a ticket for, and it takes you on like an 8-hour adventure through Colorado. And I think it comes with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They have like the open area, open trains where you can just go stand outside and pass through as you're like going past the rivers and the mountains. I've never done the train. I just was there to take photos, and the train was passing by on the track. So me and my friends, we were just trying to get the photo of the trains. But it definitely something that should be on everyone's bucket list to give a try, because I can imagine that it's a pretty cool experience.
Was it blowing smoke at all?
It
The
was.
train or no?
So
Oh,
it
okay.
definitely was. I didn't get it here, but I do have a couple of drone videos of this train going by, and you can see the smoke, coming up. Very, very Harry Potter-ish type of train.
Yeah, what was the platform number
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
train
I don't even
station?
honestly. It might have been, what is it, 3/4, 3.5, or what's the? I don't even remember the platform for Harry Potter, but it probably
I don't
was.
want to get any Harry Potter nerds mad at me. I'm not even trying
Yeah,
to guess off the top
exactly.
of my head.
I'm already canceled. I get it.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. This is
Ah,
intense. Something very different than your previous
very different.
shots.
My secret passion is wildlife. Like, I love animals. If I could be a zoologist or a marine biologist, like, I 100% would have wanted to go down that route. Animals to me are just, they're amazing. Now, with this photo, I did cheat. This is from the San Diego Zoo. I did not go find this tiger out in the middle of like Africa or Asia. No, this is just San Diego Zoo, with my 2 to 600 lens. This, I think, was shot at maybe 600. I was there to shoot the cubs, because the zoo had recently at that time had two new baby cubs, and they had separated the mom and the cubs from the dad. This right here is the dad. He was laying on the ground, and then for a moment he stood up and was, right in front of that plant, and he was looking directly at me. And where I was is, I'm actually elevated. It's by like a walkway by a waterfall. I'm higher than he is. I honestly don't know how it managed to make it look like he's eye level with me, but in this photo, he's actually looking up at me, which is really, I don't know how I managed to do that, but it worked out.
Was this the zoo or the safari park? Because they're both.
This one,
Do you
I
go to
think
both?
I go to both, but I think this is the safari.
Oh, it's safari park. Okay.
Yeah, it's the walkway with the bamboo, like you go through the bamboo forest. Yeah, so this is the
Yeah, that's
safari.
the safari park. Yeah. Then I have a lot of zoo photography. I did cancel it last year, but now that they have the new panda
Mm-hmm.
on exhibit, I want to start that back up
Yeah, definitely. I
soon.
definitely need to check out the pandas, and I think they just announced that they had another new baby tiger cub that they're going to be
Oh
putting
wow!
out on display here soon. So, good opportunities.
Time to renew that pass.
Exactly. Exactly. Good old Alabama Hills. Yeah, this is Alabama Hills, off of 395, kind of near Yosemite, near Mammoth,
Okay.
Sequoia. It's in a town called Lone Pine. Most of the time, a lot of people go up to Mammoth to snowboard and hang out in the snow town, and they drive right past this. They drive right through the town, and they don't really, because it's hidden. But literally, if you make
Oh.
one left, you drive down the road, it opens up to desert-like rocks leading up to Mount Whitney, which is the tallest mountain, in the continuous United States. And she's in the background there. But honestly, this was a nice morning shot. I had seen this shot before. I really wanted to get my car in that shot. Lighting was just perfect that morning. So it was like blue hour. The pinks were starting to hit in the background, and I was just like, "Oh, this is a dream." It all worked out. Had some help with some friends to help me set up my car and help me get the photo, and I took it in for the edit.
You weren't scared of any other cars coming around the bend?
Not that early. That early, I wasn't too worried about it. But at the same time, most of the cars are driving pretty slow because it is all dirt road with a bunch of holes and bumps. Most cars are kind of just making their way slowly. If a car was to come, we would hear it or see it before it even got to us.
How many seconds was this shot, or is this a quick
Uh,
snap?
I think I don't think it's even seconds. I think this shot right here is probably, I mean, 1/40th maybe of a second.
Oh, okay. It
Just
wasn't a
enough.
long exposure
It
then.
wasn't. Like I said, I like to shoot a lot of my things underexposed. So it might have not been enough to get it, perfectly. Oh, what's the word I'm saying? Exposed, perfectly exposed. But definitely, the darker for me, the better, because I know that I can bring it out in post.
Yeah. Okay, we have one more picture. Look at.
Yes,
Oh,
this is considered my missed shot. This was a Death Valley trip that I took with a bunch of friends a couple years back. We had my friend, she's, if everyone could see, there's a little person at the bottom there wearing a red jacket. Gave her a walkie-talkie. She went out there and we started guiding her through it. But it was just a lot of back and forth because I think our channels crossed with another person's walkie-talkie. So
funny.
as we were talking to her, someone else was talking too. So it just got a little confusing. I tried to get her as centered as I could, but she does get a little bit lost in this shot. Unless you crop in, people will just see the mountain and not really see the fact that there's a little person like literally there in the shot. Um, for me, if I were to change anything in this photo, I would have probably had her walk more to the left up on that little ridge and have her stand there. That way people can probably see, oh, what is that red spot right there? But where she is right now, she's kind of hidden between the two ridges there, and she's kind of hard to see.
Or maybe use like a 500 or more zoom.
Yeah, exactly. I needed what I was shooting for, hoping because we're kind of higher. She's those hills are lower than where we were standing because we're standing at an overlook looking down at her. If I were to zoom in a little bit more, I would have lost the tip of the mountain there, and I was
Gotcha.
it was crazy. A lot of movement down.
All right, let me stop sharing. Do you have a dream shot that you haven't taken yet that's still on your bucket list?
Now that I've completed that one
Yeah.
bucket list shot, I that's a tough one. I want to say maybe something out of Glacier National Park, like Montana. There's that lake that you can like see through it, and there's like colorful pebbles that lead up to this giant mountain. Like that's a shot that I would like. Something in the PNW, any of the mountain ranges out there. I haven't been to the Pacific Northwest yet. Within the next, I would like to tackle that part of the country next year. Anything out there, I would consider a bucket list shot for sure.
In all these trips and adventures that you had, anything crazy, any stories, unique circumstances that's happened to you out there?
Every time there's always something that happens. Things don't always go according to plan. Something always goes down. One of my favorite stories to tell is I was out in Anza Borrego doing astrophotography with the metal sculptures. And this was shortly after COVID had started, or it was like a couple months in. They had just sort of reopened the sculptures for people to come view them.
Yeah.
And I was out there shooting. I had brought my two friends with me, and they're not photographers. They just wanted to see the sculptures. We were shooting, and we started hearing coyotes in the
Oh,
distance.
wow.
And they just kept getting closer and closer, like they just kept getting louder. We kind of packed up the car, got into the car, and as we got into the car and turned on the lights, you can see the coyotes in the bushes, like right by where we just were. We're like, oh, this could have ended badly.
Wow.
That night was just full of mysterious things. We ended up leaving there, found a car in the middle of the road with its lights turned off. This guy broke down. We had to make a judgment call whether to leave this guy stranded or give him a ride.
Yeah.
This was at like 2 a.m. in the morning. So kids, don't try this at home. But we gave this guy a ride home. We dropped him off, and then it was a crazy night. It was interesting. But that's one of my favorite stories to tell. But then of course every other trip that happens with all the groups and the friends, it's always memorable. There's always things that happen on those trips that we will always remember. So we have another trip coming up in October. Yeah, going up to northern Utah. So I'm sure
Oh,
there's
fun.
more stories to come out of that one.
Are you going to try to float in the Salt Lake there? Take a dip?
I should. No, it's I've actually never been to the Salt Lake, and if I have time while I'm up there, I'm definitely gonna try to get out there to see it.
Yeah, I've never been to Utah myself, but would love to check it out
Honestly,
sometime.
Utah is probably one of my favorite states when it comes to landscapes. It's extremely unique.
And do you sell your photography? Do you have a website, or what's the best way for people to contact you usually?
Instagram is right now the best way to contact me. JP Ramsey Photos. That's with FOTOS. I got a little crazy with that one. I have a website, but haven't really updated much, so I don't really use it that often. I need to. I do in the foreseeable future want to reopen my print shop, reopen options just now that I have a bigger catalog to work with, more photos that I'm happy with. I'm looking forward to reopening that website and trying it out.
Awesome. Well, any final thoughts for our viewers before we end the interview?
Honestly, if you're a new photographer, even an old photographer, don't let the stress of social media get to you. I have started with so many friends with the photography world who started photography at the same time, and the task of having to continuously post to stay relevant has really eaten away at people. But if you just remember the reason why you started photography in the first place, the joy that you get from shooting photos, if you remember that and you stick to that, you'll do just fine. Just ignore all the other noise, forget how many likes your photo gets, forget how many views your reels get. As long as you're enjoying what you're doing, that's all that matters.
Even for content creators like myself, it's so much, right? There's Flickr, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm like, have to upload one piece of content or make a piece of content for every single platform out there. It's craziness.
It's ridiculous, and I applaud those that make a living off of it. Those that don't understand how social media works or operate, they just think these creators that are on here just posting a TikTok and getting paid or a reel and getting paid, they think it's easy. But it's really difficult to just try to stay on top of it. It definitely takes an effect on a lot of people's mental health.
Yeah, I knew nothing about video editing when I started this podcast. I learned quite a lot very, very fast. Yeah, how important it is to do some editing on your videos.
Same here. I didn't start anything video until Reels hit the picture. Once Reels came into play, that's when I started really okay, let me explore more with video. And now I have fun with it. It's so fun to record, edit, put things together, match it with music. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to come on the podcast and sharing your great images. And maybe I'll see you at one of the meetups. We'll go shoot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's been a blast having this conversation with you. Yeah, definitely the next meetup that, one of the local San Diego groups have, or if you're out and about and want to shoot, just hit me up, and I'm usually around to go out and get a nice sunset or something.
Yeah, I'll use you for your intel that you have, whether it's a good sunset.
There you go. Perfect. Sounds good to me.
All right, JP, have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.